Once we're done with that, then we're going to move on to the actual camouflage itself. And you can see over here, Romero here is cutting up some more burlap fabric into strips. And again, these strips are approximately 1 inch wide, and you go between 8 to 10 inches long. And all you're going to do is attach it onto the net in the back with an overhand knot. Simply take one end, you want to twist it around so it's a little easier to work with. Put it around the net, take the running end, pass it back through the loop, and then cinch it down. Make sure you pull on both ends so it's in there pretty firm. Once you got it, jerk on a little bit to make sure that it's in place. Then you'll go to the end of it and you'll start to fray it. All you have to do is pull the long end of the fabric strands individually, and you can see how it's starting to fray nicely for us here. Until we totally get the fabric frayed. And again, this isn't a quick project. It takes you several hours, if not days, to construct a proper ghillie suit. What we're going to do now is show you on the back of a suit here how we're going to tie this stuff off. I've been showing you earlier utilizing the finger, but what you're going to do is start from the bottom and work your way up the top. The reason for that, as these knots progress up towards the top, it's going to occlude the rest of your work, so you don't want to start at the top or you're constantly going to be flipping this material back up to try and get your knots in. So you start down here at the bottom. And again, there's no set. You don't have to have 3 greens followed by 2 browns followed by 1 dark green. It doesn't matter. It's a random pattern. You just don't want 15 of one color on one little square here, okay? Just kind of mix them up as you go. So we're going to go ahead and twist the ends up here a little bit. Once we got it through, we're going to pass it underneath the net. Again, pass the running end back through the loop or bite that we formed. Cinch it down and pull on both ends. Make sure you have a nice snug knot. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and fray it a little bit.
One of the drawbacks to using these burlap strips when you're tying it into your ghillie suit is that when you start to fray it, as you were shown, you're going to lose these cross sections. So when you use the burlap strip material, you're going to lose about half your burlap. So another thing that you can do instead of using burlap strips is actually taking the strings right out of the burlap bag. So what you're first going to want to do is take your bag and cut out the seam. So you take your scissors and you'll work your way all along the bag until you got your seam out. And then you'll take your burlap material, and you can see I've already started destringing this side. So what I'm going to do is lay this material down. I'm going to anchor it with my feet, and then I'm going to find a middle spot, the middle position of the bag. You're just going to start pulling these strings out. And once you get going, you can pull about 2 strings at a time. And I know it seems tedious, but you do save time in that you're not having any waste. So once I grab, say, 10 to 20 strands, I'll cut them into their 1/8 inch length. And then over here you can see I have my ghillie suit. And I've started from the bottom, I've worked my way up. And the last place that I have is here at the top of the suit, right on the upper back portion. So I'm going to take the bald spot, I'm going to find the netting, and I'm going to pass through the burlap lines, the burlap strings underneath, and then I'm going to do my little half hitch or overhand knot and stitch down on it. Also, you're going to want to attach this burlap material onto the sleeve portion of your ghillie suit. So you're going to sew down your netting, and then you're going to tie your burlap into it. So you have this area camouflaged as well. And of course, you're still going to have your patch. You don't want to cover your patch, the underneath area, with the burlap material. You want to put your canvas patch there on the bottom.
Right now we have a rain delay, so we're going to move indoors because the rain is getting onto the shoe goo, and it's keeping it from doing its job.
You can see now we're just about nearing completion on the headgear portion of the ghillie suit. And if I come underneath here, kind of fluff this out a little bit like it'll be worn. And it's very difficult to tell. For one, there's a hat underneath there, and you can imagine a human head totally breaks up the outline. It has that real nice shaggy or moundy appearance. It's very difficult to detect, and you can see again with my color patterning that I've done is primarily for the northwest area of the United States, and the fact that I have a lot of greens, just a little hint of brown because of the dense fern and Douglas firs, things like that. They have a lot of dark greens out here, so that's why I've gone with this particular type of pattern. And one important thing, once you get done, as I'm holding this thing up, I kind of want to spread it out a little bit and see how much exposed netting that I have, so I can see little trouble areas that I need to add some additional burlap to, like down in this area right here and maybe over in this far corner. Because I don't want, although the netting is green, it's not the same pattern as everything else, so I'm probably going to want to add a little bit of burlap to those areas right there. Always inspect your work. Don't think it's a done thing. It's a constantly changing piece of artwork, so to speak. And the fact that burlap will fall off and you'll constantly need to add new pieces, or if you're going to a different part of the country to operate, or even another foreign country for that matter, you might need to change your burlap pattern on there to match.
One of the things you have to remember about your ghillie suit, especially if you're going to use it for hunting or photographing wildlife, is that a lot of animals obviously have better sense of smell than we do. So once your ghillie suit is finished, you obviously just can't throw this into the washing machine. Chances are you'll probably never wash your ghillie suit again. So the best thing to do is when you have it and it's wet or from using it, then just hang it outside. Don't hang it inside the house. Don't hang it inside the garage. Don't put it into the dryer, because you'll be buying a new dryer. When you first get your flight suit, if it's been washed, go down to your local outdoor store and buy some natural biodegradable soap and rewash it, because a lot of today's detergents that you buy at the supermarkets leave residue in the fabric that certain animals like elk can see, and it will just make you stick out. So wash your flight suit in a natural biodegradable soap, let it dry. Don't use any fabric softeners or anything like that, and the idea is to keep it from having any scent at all that any of the animals can pick up on. So when you have to dry it, don't hang it in your garage, because you have a lot of petroleum and cleaning products in your garage and the exhaust from your automobile. Don't hang it inside the house because of all the scents and smells from cooking or cleaning in your house. And the best place to hang it is outside, like on a deck, away from any, like a barbecue or anything like that, and just let it dry naturally. And another thing to do is, once you have your ghillie suit completed, is to have a special bag for it, and your hat and anything else. You just roll up your ghillie suit and you keep it in your bag once it's dry, and then store it someplace nice and dry. Just don't, this isn't something you want to hang up in the closet. And also, you can see by all the burlap and all the materials hanging, this is not the type of clothing, if you're hunting with, you don't want to hang next to a fireplace. This will go up in flames.